My name is Jeff Anderson. I am one of the attorneys that has the honor and the privilege to have filed this action here today against the Roman Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Orange and naming Father John Ruhl, R-U-H-L. The speakers here today, speaking with and on behalf of this courageous survivor, are Mike Reck, Jennifer Stein, Vega, and Joelle Casteix. And our gratitude to this courageous survivor for taking this action. The Diocese of Orange and Bishop Von, who now presides it, have to come clean and have to reveal what they have known about Ruhl and so many other offenders like him. And Mike Reck and the team will have more to say about that.
Thank you, Jeff. Again, my name is Mike Reck. I'm one of the attorneys for Jeff Anderson and Associates. We are a law firm that represents survivors of childhood sexual abuse all across the country and here in the Diocese of Orange. The lawsuit that Jeff mentioned has been filed. It's here in Orange County Superior Court. It names the Diocese of Orange and its bishop as a defendant, along with Father John Jack Ruhl as the molester. The plaintiff's identity is identified in the lawsuit as John Doe number 1000. His confidentiality and safety are protected by our state law. The lawsuit is only one of our reasons for being here today. The other reason we're here today is to call upon the Diocese of Orange and Bishop Van to make known the full history and the whereabouts of Father Ruhl. The plaintiff in this lawsuit was abused when he was approximately 8 to 10 years old in the city of Placentia at St. Joseph's Catholic Church and School. Father Ruhl originally came from the Eastern Seaboard. He was a Vincentian priest, ordained in 1964. He made his way to California, first arriving in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles in 1967. Later coming from Los Angeles and first appearing here in the Diocese of Orange in 1978. Father Ruhl left the Vincentian order and incarnated. That means he was accepted voluntarily by the Diocese of Orange as a Diocese of Orange ordained priest in 1983. He continued to in the Diocese of Orange, where he sexually molested John Doe number 1000 when he was approximately 8 to 10 years old. The Diocese of Orange and Archdiocese have disclosed that Father Ruhl abused other children. We don't know how many, we don't know where, and we don't know what else, what other dangers have been out there. He was placed on inactive status by the Diocese of Orange in approximately 1992. At that point, we know very little about his whereabouts and about the safety. Our team has been investigating Father Ruhl as a part of this lawsuit. One of the attorneys working on this lawsuit, seeking to uncover the details, has uncovered that Father John Ruhl was a public safety nightmare to these communities here in Orange County. Jennifer Stein from our office, can you tell us what we've learned about Father Ruhl since he was placed on inactive status?
Sure. In 2016, the Diocese of Orange announced that Father Ruhl had been removed from ministry and life of prayer and penance. Our research has indicated that Father Ruhl may currently be a resident of the state of Illinois in Chicago.
And when you say prayer and penance, does that mean Father Ruhl is still a priest today?
As far as we understand, he very well may be.
Thank you. Jennifer Stein mentioned that in 2016, the Diocese of Orange released some information. Well, that merits some scrutiny because the Diocese of Orange, at best, put forth a half-truth, and a half-truth, in my book, is a full lie. In 2016, they released the identities of 16 offenders. The reality is that number is much higher. Our office released the Anderson list back in December, just a few months ago. The Anderson list details not just 16 offenders, but 72 of clerical offenders with known allegations against them here in the Diocese of Orange. With regard to Father Ruhl and his history as a prolific serial offender, the Vincentians disclosed his personnel file, the religious order who accepted him back in the 1960s. They've now put his information out there. But the Diocese of Orange here today has chosen not to release any information. The entire personnel file down the road in the chancery under lock and key remains secret. And it remains secret because this bishop and this diocese have refused to do that. With us today is Vega. Vega is a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. He's been a plaintiff who has sued the church against the offender who abused him and has received some disclosures as a part of that lawsuit. Manny, can you tell us why the disclosure of those documents and those files are so important on the healing path?
Sure. Again, my name is Manny Vega. As a victim of childhood sexual abuse by a priest, it's important for people like myself who have been sexually abused as children to try to get full disclosure of what took place. I was abused from the age of 10 to 15. And when I look back at it, I just don't understand exactly how it happened, why it happened, or how could the church allow it to happen. Now as an adult and also as a retired police officer who used to investigate sexual assaults, I understand the importance of what we're doing here today. It is important that what took place in the past against children is brought to light. It's important that the church be held accountable. There's people who are protecting these individuals, these perpetrators. The Diocese of Orange is certainly an agency that's protecting this individual. They need to come clean. I think he's a public nuisance, public danger to children. Sexual predators don't stop. They continue. And they're probably out there, he's probably out there, putting children in danger. So the Archdiocese of Orange needs to come clean, needs to provide information. Obviously, the Vincentians saw that there was an issue there and provided his record.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for standing up on behalf of survivors who need that information. We don't take it lightly when we call Father Ruhl a public safety nightmare. How do we know that? Why do we know that? The evidence for that is in his history, both that which is known and that which needs to be known. If we look at his assignment record, could I borrow this? This is Father Ruhl. He first came to Orange back in the 70s. It's noteworthy that this diocese allowed him to work here at St. Anthony Claret Church in Anaheim. That's noteworthy because that was a nest of multiple offenders. This diocese allowed Father Ruhl to enter their facility and work with known offender Monsignor Thomas Mohan at that facility in Anaheim. After that, in 1983, Father Ruhl was incarnated into this diocese. He then went on to St. Joseph's Church in Placentia, where he abused John Doe 1000. Not just the history, but the documents themselves betray the burning need for full disclosure and full scrutiny. We gave you guys today a copy of the complaint. Paragraphs 9 through 26 lay out many of the details in his history that is known. We also included a confidential memorandum that came from the secret archives contained by the Vincentians. In that memorandum, on the second page, there's a reference to a conversation had with Monsignor Joelle. He's the chancellor of the diocese, a high official who admits Father Ruhl was subjected to a lie detector test, and the results of the lie detector indicated that other victims were likely. Well, to Monsignor Joelle and to the officials with that information, the burning question and responsibility remains of what did you do? How did you reach out to those individuals? With us today is Joelle Casteix. Joelle is a survivor, an advocate, an expert in clerical sexual abuse. She's from here in Orange and is probably the most knowledgeable person about the workings of the Diocese of Orange who's not one of their priests. Joelle, you know a lot about this particular diocese, and I'm sure this is a case that you've seen play out before. What do you have to say about this diocese response and their responsibility?
Well, as a little bit of background, my name is Joelle Casteix, and I'm a survivor of sexual abuse at Mater Dei High School here in the Diocese of Orange. And this case, especially Father John, otherwise known as Jack Ruhl, this case is very, very personal to me in a very important way. The documents in this case, the ones that Mike just referenced, were not turned over voluntarily by the Diocese of Orange. When California opened its civil window in 2003, allowing survivors of sexual abuse to come forward, there was a document disclosure when those cases settled in 2005. And a number of the perpetrators in those cases, including the man who sexually molested me, filed documents with the courts saying, we want to keep our documents secret. They hired attorneys or had attorneys hired for them and said, we want our secret personnel files kept secret, kept away from public scrutiny. The man who molested me filed those documents, and Father Jack Ruhl filed those documents. But in the cases of both of those men, there was an accident, and both of those files were accidentally released. The Orange County Register got a hold of those files and decided to release them, decided to publish them, and refused to give them back. So the only reason we know about what Father John or Jack Ruhl did was because of an accidental release and because the Orange County Register refused to give those documents back. Otherwise, we would not know what we know now. Otherwise, no idea that the diocese knew that Jack Ruhl had been given a lie detector test, that they knew there were other victims, that they knew there was this public safety threat. Otherwise, they would have allowed Ruhl to keep his secrets and never would have sentenced him to a life of prayer and penance. These are the secrets that the Diocese of Orange would have been allowed to keep. What other secrets are they keeping? What other secrets are hiding in their files at Christ Cathedral, the former Crystal Cathedral over in Garden Grove? That is why this case is so important. Bishop Van has promised us transparency, yet we have seen none. He has promised us names, yet he has given us none. He has promised us safety, yet we have seen nothing. Hopefully this lawsuit and the brave survivor coming forward is the beginning of a watershed moment where survivors are empowered to come forward and to make sure that what happened to them and what happened to me and what happened to Manny never happens to another child. Thank you.
Thank you, Joelle. Thank you for doing what you're doing. The lawsuit that was filed on behalf of that brave survivor who we know as John Doe 1000 seeks from the diocese several important and vital disclosures and actions for the public good. Number one, that lawsuit asks the diocese to explain what they knew and when they knew it about Ruhl. Second, that diocese needs to explain to that brave plaintiff who's brought this case and the other survivors who are still suffering in silence why Father Ruhl, a prolific and serial offender, was accepted into this diocese after abusing multiple children. And third, that brave survivor who brought this lawsuit seeks the diocese explanation. Where is Father Ruhl? Is he safe today? How does prayer and penance protect children? We know law enforcement protects children. We know jail protects children from pedophiles. To Bishop Van, this brave survivor asks, what are you doing to make children safer from those like Jack Ruhl today? We're going to wrap this right now. The panel is going to stay here. In addition to the speakers, we also have survivor advocate Beatriz Mendoza, who is Spanish speaking, as well as Manuel Vega. With us today also is Michael Finnegan, one of the other attorneys on our team, and Patrick Wall. Patrick Wall is an advocate. He is a former Benedictine priest, an expert on clerical sexual abuse. So please feel free to let us know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.